1 now, recording.
Okay.
Make
So,
it
a
bigger,
very
the
good-
screen. I mean the.
Oh. The Shafiq, can you make the screen bigger?
Zoom in.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
150, okay.
Is that okay, madam? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So a very good
Okay.
afternoon. Okay. So a very good afternoon. As we already discussed in stage 1, exactly what genre we want to do and the adaptation and a little bit of the plot that we have discussed before. And today we will be presenting the storyboard of the story that we are adapting, which is Daredevil, the television series. So to start off is with the characters. So we already had the characters in mind, which is 2 corrupted detectives, the one who holds the power, and 1 lawyer, and 1 the convicted. So as to start off, Arif as Detective Arif, he is Detective Hoffman, based on the Daredevil series. Next, we have me as Detective Anis, which was based on Detective Blake, and both detectives are corrupted policemen in the NYPD based on the Daredevil television series. Next, we have Shafiq as Mr. Shafiq. He is a lawyer. He is based on Foggy Nelson. And lastly, we have Mus as Mr. Muzame, the convicted, as Piotr in the television. Next is the scenes, and I will be passing this to Shafiq and Arif.
Hi. So for the scene, the way we distribute work for this storyboard is Anis will be doing the characters, Aris will be doing the description, and I'll be doing the graphics. So for the description, I'll pass it to Arif so that he can elaborate on the scene. So basically, the design here is how it turns out based on the description. Sorry if you do.
Okay. Hello, hi, and assalamualaikum. I bid to Madam. For the first scene, we have the scene started off in a dark, dusty room in a police station. And Detective Arif is seen furious interrogating Mr. Moose. Detective Arif tried to be intimidated, to intimidate Moose to confess to killing his own father in the living room in the house using a .38 gun. As Moose kept denying the doing of the crime, he was reminded by Detective Arif that he served years in juvenile to the crime of killing his own brother and that he has a motive to commit the same to his father, as they have some kind of dark relationship between one another and also his brother. As the integration session continues, Mr. Moose keeps denying the doing and insisting to Detective Arif that he has had the wrong person the whole time. So moving on to the next scene. The next scene is set at the front counter of the police station. As this scene comes slowly to the screen, Mr. Shafiq, a lawyer, confronted Detective Anis at the front counter, asking the whereabouts of Mr. Moose. And as a reputation, Mr. Shafiq first identified himself as a lawyer doing pro bono, which is free service, social responsibility service to the convicted Mr. Moose. And Mr. Shafiq has quite a reputation to the police themselves, as Detective Anis then was being skeptical to Mr. Shafiq's reputation of actually searching a renowned mafia or kingpin that was said to hold each authority in the city in his pocket like nickels and dimes. And as the conversation continues, Mr. Shafiq convinces Detective Anis that they got the wrong person and that certain tests would prove otherwise of Mr. Moo's conviction. And I think this is where we can elaborate more. Then Mr. Shafiq was then told by the detective where to find his client, which is down the hall. Moving on to the next scene. The next scene then move to the interrogation room once again. Mr. Shafiq introduced himself as a lawyer, but was quickly rejected by Mr. Moose, saying that he was there not to help him, but helping him is just a way to achieve his goal of finding the kingpin. So Mr. Moose then reflected how he actually had the motive to kill his father due to his unpleasant past caused by his father to him and his brother, as mentioned earlier, but then missed it as his father was already lying dead in the living room. He then vaguely remembered that the kingpin used to come to their house asking to buy a heritage painting owned by their family from his father. Upon the death of his father, the painting was missing, suspected to be taken away by the kingpin. So moving on to the next scene. The scene is set in a break room of the police station where these two detectives was having conversation between one another. Detective Arif was seen worried and concerned about Mr. Shafiq's allegation that they had the wrong person because it is quite a reason to think so. So Detective Anis then opened up how she finally made enough money to afford the surgery of his sick husband due to stroke that has been affecting their life. Through the hardship of taking care of her husband and their only son, Detective Arif assured her that he will always be there by her side no matter what. So we moving on to the last scene, the fifth scene, the final scene. Now move back to the interrogation room with the detectives, the lawyer and the convicted all crammed up all together. So this is a very intense situation. As Mr. Moose kept denying the crime, Mr. Shafiq came up with a revelation that it was the two detectives themselves that had Mr. Moose's father killed. As it became clearer, Detective Anis admitted that the killing was done to take away the heritage painting to impress the kingpin as a need for money, and it was done out of love for her husband's surgery. Detective Arif then started Mr. Shafiq with a blackmail using his own mother by saying the address of the whereabouts of where his mother is living. So Mr. Shafiq have left started and would have to turn a blind eye upon a made-up fatal accident that killed Mr. Moose in the interrogation room that both detectives has planned to commit. And this is where the scenes end.
Thank you, Arif. So back to the graphic design itself. So when it's come to visualizing, we really doesn't have that much to play with because it's gonna be a specific thing that we need to find. So when Arif started writing of the description, he started off with mentioning that the scene started off in a dark, dusty room in a police station. So using this online platform called Storyboard, I can make a integration room, but to make it a little bit to make it dusty, I kind of need a lot more than just a storyboard. I need more than that. So basically, I will be using storyboard and also Canva to produce that dusty vibe kind of room. And thanks to storyboard also that we can change day and night. So I basically just change the theme to night to make it more darker um, color. So that's for the scene one graphics, which is I just made Moose character a little bit mad, and Arif character is gonna be like uh, basically he's done with integrating just confess or anything, and that's what I went with. And then the scene two is this is just like a sneak peek to the lawyer because apparently when Arif just started writing off front counter at the police station, I know that the lawyer gotta have a sneak peek, like we don't actually show off that character yet. So I just turned the character uh, uh, face back, kind of like how you see here, just talking to that the detective Anis to ask about whereabouts of Mr. Moose and all. So here, the reason why I make it the theme here, the reason why I make it light or day, because it's a front counter and we need lights on the front counter. So that's why I made it bright. So back to scene three, which the integration room. So this is where Mr. Shafiq and Mr. Moose meet and they talk. So the expression is there. Again, the theme, and then scene four is the break room, which Detective Arif and Detective Anis talk. Yeah, and then the last one is everyone crammed in the room or in the integration room, right? So yeah, uh, this is where the climax is. So yeah, this is how I visualize it, and I think that's basic. With that being said, I think that's covered all about storyboard. So I think this is time to move on with Moose's agenda, which is the script, right, Moose?
Yes, let's go.
Right, let me share that. Um, I think this one.
Okay, my name is Muzame and I'll be presenting about the whole script. So basically, this script is based on the storyboard, not exactly the same as the story goes in the storyboard. So let's start with the first scene, which is about a cop and a killer. Before I start, I think I should say that every scene will have one character to shine, right? So in this first scene, it's all about Detective Arif first, okay? Um, in every scene, there's always one character who would be giving one monologue or one scene to show the characteristic, right? So in this first scene, it's all about Arif, uh, as the storyboard implies. This scene is all about Detective Arif is forcing Muzame to commit a crime that he never actually did, right? So in this scene, I think we already tell about the storyline goes, right? So I think I will feature more on the monologue here. Okay, can we go a little bit down? Down. Oh, okay, yeah, that one. Okay, so in this scene, my intention of this scene is that Detective Arif sees me uh, as a criminal, even though I did not commit the crime. I am still an ex-juvenile. So anyway, even if I did not commit the crime, I would. It's just a matter of time before I would start committing again because ex-convict uh, are more tended to do it again, right? So in here, it reveals about Arif's characteristic, which is he doesn't care about ex-convict, and he thinks that I am expendable to be used as a decoy to a crime that he actually commits. So moving on to the next scene, which is entitled A Lawyer and a Cop, which is the first scene involving Shafiq and Detective Anis. So this scene will reveal more about Shafiq's characteristic. In this scene, can we go down again? It will lead to a monologue by Shafiq. Yeah, that's one. It turns out that the reason why Shafiq is giving the pro bono service to Muzami is actually he has nothing less. He has nothing left because in his entire career he's been trying to catch this one villain called Kingpin, although no one actually believed that Kingpin actually exists. So Shafiq spent his entire career trying to capture this guy, right? So Kingpin, he uses all of his power to destroy his career. His firm, his friends and family, right? So Shafiq, having nothing else to lose, he wants to fight even harder. So this is what Shafiq's character is all about, right? So let's move on to the scene three. A killer and a lawyer. So these scenes, all of these dialogues will eventually culminate in, oh yes, it's my origin, Muzami's origin. So can we go down? So there we go. That is my monologue. It turns out that I went to juvenile because yes, I did kill my brother. It was an accident, right? So in this monologue, I will explain how I accidentally killed my dad. It was because my dad was abusing us, and it was a self-defense. I was trying to shoot my dad, but he uses my brother as a shield, right? So my brother ended up dead, and I was framed to a crime, and my dad is still out there. So it was actually revealed that when I was out of the juvenile, I was there with the intention to kill my father, but it turns out he already dead. Um, so I would not confess to a crime that I wouldn't commit, right? And yeah, and I also vaguely explained about a painting that my father owns that's actually not there when I reached the house, right? So now moving on to the scene four, a cop and his partner. Yeah. This scene will reveal about more about Annie's characteristic, right? So can we move downward, down again?
Oh,
Down. Can we go down? Okay, now this would be Annie's monologue. The thing is, Anis is not actually an evil cop. He just needed money so that he could afford to afford for her husband's surgery because he's having a stroke, right? So he's not actually evil. So that's about it. And yeah, I think that's it. Good. Also, it was also revealed that she had been ignoring all of her husband's symptoms. Right, her husband has been showing that uh, his left cheeks is um, started to what? Drooping. Yes, drooping. And then a few months later, it was revealed that half of his body is to be indicated that he's actually having a stroke, but Anis is ignoring those symptoms. So she feels really bad, and she need to do anything to make up to her mistake. So it will all culminate to the last scenes, which is scene five, the truth. In this scene, everything will be revealed, and every characters are in the same interrogation room, right? So Shafiq reveals that actually mm, Muzami was apprehended in October 2016. it was reported that the gun was never found, although he was captured. It is claimed that it is claimed that Muzamil disposed the gun in the chase, and the arresting officer is actually Mr. Arif. So Shafiq's theory is actually Arif found the gun but never reported it. You keep the gun for 6 years, and when he heard that Muzamil is out from the juvenile, he realized that this is the perfect scapegoat in here. So Mr. Arif just shoot my father, drop the gun on the crime scene, and they will have the evidence to frame me. So this culminates to a question, but why now? Because I was in the juvenile for 6 years. He could stole the painting for 6 years, but why now? So it turns out that Kingpin came into my house 6 years ago. He said he wanted to buy the painting, but my father, he said no, because it was a family heritage. So the Kingpin says, okay, I can respect that. And then 6 years later, when I was out from the juvenile, Anis and Arif, they discovered that I would be the perfect scapegoat, right? So they claim that they shoot my father and then try to frame me, and then they stole the painting that the Kingpin won, and then they told Kingpin that Muzamil's father wanted to sell this painting. So anyway, Anis will get the money that she wanted to afford her husband's surgery, and the ending. Can we go down again? And then in the end, what happens in the end? In the end, one of the detectives, they decided to kill me to cover up this whole lies, right? And Shafiq, he has no choice but to cooperate in the lie, because one of the detectives, they revealed Mr. Shafiq's mother's address. So, Mr. Shafiq's mom is in danger, so Shafiq has to cooperate. So that will be the end of the script. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Done?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, guys. You know what? I'm impressed because I didn't expect you to come up with a full script already today. So you managed to present to me the full script, which is very good. Okay. Very interesting plot. Okay. But I'm just wondering how different is your version compared to the original version of Daredevil. Okay. If someone can explain a bit on that. In terms of characters, are the same characters, right?
Yeah, they are the same characters. But
okay. Sorry, I noticed in your script you're still using your names, your real names, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Later for the final script, you need to write the names of the characters, or are you using the same names?
Can we use the same name?
Yes, you can.
actually.
But in your introduction just now, did you use the same name for each character?
Yes.
Or you?
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay, then it's fine. Then it's fine, no problem. Okay, and another thing, I noticed your script. Don't you need stage direction in your script? Somehow, stage direction.
Yes.
I think I described to you, right? I mean, in bracket you can put what certain. I mean, in terms of the action of the characters. Later you can put that in. Okay.
Okay.
And what else? Oh, so you have got 5 scenes there, and I like the fact that you have given a title for each scene, which is very good. So that you name it, and you you have the that will be the indication of the setting, right? So in terms of the setting, it will be in the police station. You have the dusty room, you have the counter, and interrogative room. Okay, and I think good job also in coming up with the visuals for the storyboard. Shafiq, you used is it an app for
Yeah,
for the
it's
visual?
an online platform called storyboard.com.
Right, right. That's good. That's good. But the challenge is for you to portray that kind of setting in your acting. How are you going to
Yes.
do it? I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
yeah, in dramatization, you've got it
Yes.
visualized on your storyboard, right? But how are you going
Mhm.
to display that in your video? Okay, the changing of scenes very clearly indicated in the storyboard. I can see it. Some scenes are with lighter lights, and some with darker. That's a good indication of the situation and the setting, right? But how are you going to portray that, display that in your dramatization versions? You have to think of that as well. Yeah,
Yes.
the changing of scenes. Okay,
Yes.
and yeah, interesting plot. What was my question again? Or how different is your version compared to the original?
The actual scene from the series is really short, and it only
Mm,
involves two cops and one interrogator. There's no lawyer in that scene. The only difference.
Mm.
The only Yeah, there is a lawyer in that scene, but he's outside, and his name is Matt Murdock, aka the Daredevil. But the thing is, we cannot adapt from his character because clearly he's Daredevil. He could detect
Yeah.
someone who is lying, right? So we have to change
mm,
Murdoch into his partner,
Uh,
which is Foggy Nelson.
I
Anis,
think
can I jump in?
if I could, yeah, if I could add, the also what's different is I would say my character, because the scene that Moose based on was they are both like very corrupted cops, and my one is, yes, it's a bit corrupted, but I had a reason, which
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
Justification. Mhm.
yeah, to just a reason to help somewhat my sick husband. So I think that is the major difference in the scene, is having, rather than having two corrupted cops who is
Mhm.
doing something for a different reason, rather my cop, my character and Arif's character is quite different and from
Mhm.
the original. So I would say that is also a difference in the adaptation.
Right, that's good. That's good. I mean, that's how it should be. You can adapt in
Mm-hmm.
terms of the background of the characters, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Justification
Yes.
of, why he or she is doing things that way.
Yes.
That's very good. Okay, so you're adapting in terms of the character as well as a bit on the plot. Okay, um, yep, and of course the theme, the genre is the same. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
I also like the fact that you actually using monologue as part of the technique. It's a dramatic technique, monologue, and in your case, you're
Mm-hmm.
using it to like, uh, uh, reveal some kind of background of the characters.
Yes.
To flashback on things, especially on Moo's character, right? To flashback what happened before, and the fact that he also actually had the intention to kill the father in the first place, right? Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
you use the technique of monologue to reveal that. Okay, which is very good. And also, just that also monologue on the other characters, can Anis
Uh,
also, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a good technique, right? But the challenge is for you to again display how are you going to do that,
Yes.
to
Yes.
make it impactful, to the audience, right? Of course,
Mm-hmm.
I think in your case, the advantage is you don't really like have to have a lot of I mean in terms of setting, kan? You're
Yes.
only like in one place. It's different rooms, but in one place, right? But perhaps maybe there will be times when you have to like insert in other setting when you flashback on things,
Yes.
things like that. So those are the things that maybe you would like to discuss further on stages 3 and 4,
Yes.
right? Because you are
Mm-hmm.
now already, in fact, have the script, which is I find it very impressive because I didn't expect you to come up with the script already. I'm just, expect to see your storyboard first. So since you have done your script, the draft, I would say, right? Carry on
Mm-hmm.
working on that. Okay, you can still make changes, okay, here and there, All right. So the next stage, probably you can finalize your script, and then you can carry on with reading aloud, a rehearsal, a workshop, right? Just read out uh, the script aloud, and the point is here for you to see whether first timing. You have to make sure that it is within 25 to 30 minutes. Okay, so reading aloud the full script would help you to estimate on the timing alone. I mean, and not inclusive of the other things. When you do it, the real thing you might want to add a bit more time for that. But when you have a full rehearsal, script reading, then you will have an idea of how long it will take. Yeah. So probably that will
Yes.
be done for stage 3 and stage 4. So you just look at the proposed activities. They're just proposed activities, but you just carry out the ones that you feel you need, yeah, as appropriate to your purpose, right? So if you want me in, you can invite me anytime, but during class time, right?
Yes.
Okay. So any questions? Are you happy
Yes,
so
madam.
far?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
very
I'm
happy.
happy too. I'm happy too because I didn't expect you to have that script already. Okay, which is good. All right. So yeah, so carry on. Thank you very much. I shall leave now.
Okay,
Thank you,
madam.
madam.
Thank
Have
you,
a
You
nice
can still
madam.
day.
carry on if you like. Okay. Bye bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, madam.
Bye, madam. Patut hentikan recording ke?
Oh.
Yes.
Stop recording